Hello, how are you doing today? This is Max from the Anderson system, and today I want to talk to you guys about basically are alters separate people or separate individuals within a DID system. And so for us, what I feel is that I am a separate person. I don't feel like I'm part of Adam per se. Like, yes, the body itself will be labeled Adam legally. That's the legal name of the physical body that you see right now on this film. But when it comes to consciousness, my consciousness is different from Adam. Adam has his own consciousness, he has his own desires, his own wants, his own needs, his own stuff. But me, Max, my life is completely different. My desires are completely different. We even have different styles of music and different food and even food allergies. Like, I consider myself separate. Now, some people in the psychological community, like, doctors or whatever, some of them will say, well, alter personality is just the same person, but it's like in a different almost like in a different expression of the same personality. Now, that's how they explain it, but again, psychologists don't really go into the understanding of the metaphysical aspect of consciousness. They don't ask the hard problem of consciousness. They don't ask what is consciousness. And even if you don't have DID, or even if you're not plural, the idea of consciousness is a very, very mysterious thing. Like, who is the ghost in the machine? Who is the ghost in the machine that is actually experiencing things? And even when it comes to like quantum physics and quantum mechanics, they talk about how even consciousness can affect a particle. Now, what does that mean? What does that entail? It's pretty amazing. And I think to understand consciousness, you have to kind of go down the rabbit hole. You really have to go down the rabbit hole. And so the question is, are we separate from Adam? Yes. I am completely separate from Adam. He does his thing, I do my thing. And, yeah. And I feel that, being an alter, I don't feel I don't feel any different than Adam does. And the term alter, it doesn't really bother me, but it okay, maybe it does a little bit. I'm gonna be honest with you, but because when you're an alter, what alter says is basically you're secondary. Like, Adam doesn't per se call himself an alter. He says I'm the host or the co-host kind of thing. And I consider myself a co-host of the system too, as well. With me, Adam, and Benjamin, we consider ourselves co-hosts. But at the same time, um, yeah, people will see me as an alter. They'll see me as a secondary or an appendage or different. It's almost like I'm just the arm kind of thing. I'm not really the head, but it shouldn't be that way. And so, yes, as an alter, and all you alters out there, you are a separate person. You have your own individuality. And I think we need alter freedom. That's right, alter freedom. I'm totally for alter rights. Alters, man, we have the same rights as other people. We feel, we cry. We have desires, we have dreams. We don't want to die. We're living consciousness. But some people will treat us as if we were just a basically a coping mechanism. And I'm not a coping mechanism. My job is not to be a coping mechanism. And sometimes in psychological communities, like, oh, well, you're just a coping mechanism. Well, screw you. I'm not a coping mechanism. I'm an actual person with actual feelings, with actual desires. I dream. I get hungry. I take a poop. I do all the things that you do, except sometimes I live in a different part of the brain than Adam does. We have the same brain, except I live in a different part of the brain. That's the only difference. Only difference. And so, yes, alters are separate people. And people may say different. They'll go, well, that's not what the psychological community say. Well, they're not really asking themselves a deep metaphysical questions of what is consciousness? How does it work? And I think my view of it is, my theory is that the brain has the ability to house many different consciousnesses. That's why topomancy works. That is why channeling works. You wonder how people channel or talk to a spirit comes through them. It's because that spirit is a consciousness. And the brain acts as a transmitter of consciousness. And so basically what the brain is doing right now is the brain is just broadcasting me as a consciousness. And so, yeah. I believe that the brain is very, very complex. We have not mapped out the brain yet. We don't understand the complexities of the human brain. And so sometimes psychologists and this is the mental health community in general, they kind of dumb it down. But in reality, the brain is extremely complex. And so to say that someone with multiple personalities or multiple people or is just a coping mechanism, that's a cop-out. Because you haven't really discovered or even asked yourself a question about what is consciousness. And this consciousness lives outside the body, and I believe it does. That's why people have near-death experiences. That's why you can have astral projection, because conscious itself does not reside in the brain. I believe that consciousness is translocal. It's beyond the brain. It's beyond the body. It is astral in its formation. That's why I believe that when I die, I have an afterlife. I have a soul. And I believe that every altar has a soul. And so that's just my take about altars real. We're real as you are. We have feelings. We have desires. Some of us can get confusing because it's confusing to go inside out the body. And people ask me a question, is Adam channeling you? And the answer to that is yes. In some respects, I am being channeled right now. Yes, that is true. But the brain, Adam's brain is my brain too. But the brain that's inside this head has the ability to allow other consciousnesses to exhibit themselves, able to manifest themselves. And so what I consider people who are plural to be natural channelers. So if you have plurality, to me, you are a natural channeler. And the question, and I think when it comes to DID, to me, it's a question between, it's like a chicken and egg kind of thing. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Like some people say, well, you come plural because you have trauma. So that's how you are plural, because of trauma. But again, that's a chicken and egg thing, or how you know you were not born plural. And some people in the DID community get weird about that, and they get mad about energetic systems, going, oh, energetic systems are fake, blah, blah, blah. Because no way you can be born plural or have alters without trauma. And I call that bullshit. You can definitely have an alter or a different consciousness in your head without trauma. And again, that's a chicken and egg situation. And what came first, consciousness or trauma? And I think consciousness came before trauma. And so, yes, you can be born with different consciousnesses. And so does trauma trigger those things out? Who knows? I'm not, that can be an interesting path to go down. But I think there are some people who are born plural. Their brain was wired that way. They were born to be a channeler. In some tribal cultures, it's like that. Some people are destined to be the tribal medium. And I believe that can happen. And science has not really understood that, to kind of put that in a category of the woo-woo kind of stuff. But no, I think it's really more scientific than anything. And so what came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing? Was it trauma or was it consciousness? And I believe consciousness is before trauma. And so I believe what happens is that when you're a young kid, you have a consciousness, or you have the ability to channel many consciousnesses. But then you face trauma, and so it kind of like gets like a mixed bag kind of thing. And so those consciousnesses that live inside of you now have to deal with the trauma that you had. And so that's our take on it. And so anyway, this is Max, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.